Manifest Madness, The Shining, Colorado, and The Ghosts of the Frontier. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a meticulously layered horror film that never lets a single detail go to waste. Even something as seemingly innocuous as the name of the Colorado Room, the grand, light-filled centerpiece of the Overlook Hotel, carries a wealth of historical baggage. Beneath its chandeliers and Native American motifs lies a sly reference to Colorado's role in the American frontier, specifically in the displacement of Native Americans, including the Navajo. In true Kubrickian fashion, the Colorado Room becomes a haunted monument to manifest destiny, the American mythos of expansion, and the collective madness that came with it. Let's explore the history of Colorado settlers, the legacy of conquest, and why naming the room after Colorado is Kubrick's subtle way of reminding us that the Overlook Hotel, much like America itself, is built on stolen land. Colorado, a frontier of ambition and atrocity. In the 19th century, Colorado was at the heart of America's westward expansion, aka the violent reshuffling of indigenous peoples for the sake of manifest destiny. Settlers flooded into Colorado during the mid-1800s, drawn by the promise of gold, land, and the chance to put a really cool mountain range on their postcards. Unfortunately, this influx came at a devastating cost to the Native American tribes who already lived there. The gold rush and greed. The Colorado Gold Rush of 1859 was a beacon for settlers and a disaster for Native Americans. As miners and settlers flooded the region, conflicts with indigenous tribes like the Ute and the Arapaho escalated. The Navajos forced displacement, while the Navajo were primarily located in the southwest. The precedent set by frontier policies in Colorado influenced the broader strategy of displacing Native Americans. Colorado's expansion-minded settlers were part of the same system that culminated in the Navajo Long Walk, a forced march to Bosque Redondo that claimed countless lives. Sand Creek Massacre, one of Colorado's darkest historical moments, the Sand Creek Massacre of 1864, saw U.S. soldiers attack a peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho village, killing hundreds. This brutal act of frontier violence looms over the state's history like a bloodstain, one Kubrick would surely have been aware of when naming the Colorado Room. The Colorado Room, a colonial cathedral. The Colorado Room, with its soaring ceilings, elaborate chandeliers, and Native American-inspired designs, is the Overlook Hotel's crown jewel. On the surface, it's a space of grandeur and refinement. But Kubrick's decision to name it after Colorado ties this opulence directly to the violent history of westward expansion. A monument to manifest destiny, the Colorado Room's very existence echoes the ambitions of settlers who saw the West as a blank canvas for their dreams of empire. Its grandeur masks the bloodshed and displacement that made such spaces possible. Native American motifs as appropriation, the room's decor, like much of the Overlook, borrows heavily from indigenous art and design. What could have been a tribute to native culture instead feels like a taunt, a reminder that this luxury is built on stolen land. The Overlook, as frontier America, just as settlers sought to dominate the wilderness, the Overlook seeks to dominate its guests, bending their wills and trapping their souls. The Colorado Room becomes a symbolic battleground where the ghosts of conquest still linger. Jack Torrance, a modern-day settler. Jack Torrance's journey mirrors the ambitions and failures of Colorado's frontier settlers. He arrives at the Overlook with grand aspirations, believing he can tame its isolation and turn it into the site of his creative triumph. Instead, he becomes consumed by the same forces of greed and violence that fueled westward expansion. The taming of the wilderness, like the settlers who tried to civilize the West, Jack attempts to impose his will on the Overlook. But the hotel, much like the land itself, resists domination, turning Jack into its pawn rather than its master. Violence as inheritance, Jack's descent into madness, reflects the generational trauma of conquest. His violent outbursts echo the brutality of frontier violence, suggesting that the sins of the past are never truly buried, they haunt us, just like the Overlook's ghosts. Kubrick's commentary manifests destiny as madness. By naming the Colorado Room and filling it with appropriated indigenous designs, Kubrick draws a direct line between the Overlook's horrors and America's history of conquest. The hotel becomes a microcosm of manifest destiny's dual nature, grand ambitions cloaked in violence and hypocrisy. The illusion of civilization, the Colorado Room, with its polished decor, represents the veneer of civilization settlers brought to the West. Beneath the surface, however, lies the chaos and brutality of conquest, a truth Kubrick teases out with every shot of the room's ominously glowing chandeliers. A haunted legacy, the ghosts of the Overlook are more than just personal demons. They're the echoes of historical violence. The Colorado Room becomes a symbolic space where America's imperialist ambitions collide with the guilt and horror of their consequences. The comedy of conquest, a Kubrickian joke. As always with Kubrick, there's a layer of dark humor in this subtext. The Colorado Room isn't just a grand hall, it's a stage for Jack's absurd delusions of grandeur and a grim parody of the American dream. Jack, as the ultimate frontier fool, Jack's belief that he can conquer the Overlook mirrors the hubris of settlers who thought they could tame the West. The Colorado Room, with its overwhelming scale, dwarfs Jack at every turn, turning his bravado into a cosmic joke. The Overlook's ironic grandeur, the hotel's luxury, much like the wealth of the frontier, is built on exploitation and erasure. The Colorado Room's splendor becomes absurd when you realize it's just a gilded cage for the hotel's trapped souls. Conclusion: a room with a view of history. In The Shining, the Colorado Room isn't just a setting, it's a haunting reminder of the violent history that underpins America's frontier mythology. By naming the room after Colorado and filling it with appropriated indigenous motifs, Kubrick turns the Overlook Hotel into a symbol of manifest destiny's dark legacy. Jack Torrance's descent into madness isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a reflection of the madness of conquest itself, where dreams of domination inevitably lead to ruin. So, the next time you watch The Shining, take a moment to appreciate the Colorado Room's unsettling grandeur. It's not just a ballroom, it's a historical bullseye, a Kubrickian joke about the ghosts of empire, and, most importantly, a great place for Jack to lose his mind.